presenta.
Dr. Small, in your work in developing technologies to detect Alzheimer's in early stages is fascinating. Could you share how this technology works and what are the early signs that can be detected? How much advancement has been made in this area?
There's been quite a bit of advancement over the years, and when I started in this field, actually when I started in medical school, we didn't have much. That's just when they were discovering CT scans and MRI scans. And those kinds of scans are helpful. They show the structure of the brain. So you can identify if there are strokes or if there's a tumor.
Yes.
But it can't rule in something like Alzheimer's disease so well, unless you do very detailed studies of volumes of certain areas of the brain. Now, we started to work a number of years ago with positron emission tomography scanning.
Yes.
And so it's PET for short, for positron emission tomography. And the way it works, it's like a Geiger counter. It measures radioactivity.
Okay.
And so what we do is we inject into the research subject, well, it's actually a radioactively labeled chemical marker.
Okay.
So it's taken up by the brain. And so it allows us to see cellular function, or it allows us to see the buildup of plaques and tangles that are associated with Alzheimer's disease. So those innovations allow us to make a diagnosis of the problem years, even decades, before people become obviously impaired. So that has helped with the research. It's helped with some of the development of early detection and treatment. But we have a ways to go because we still don't have medicines that are highly effective, that don't have side effects.
With containing side effects, yeah.
So we've come a long way, but we have a long way to go yet.
Thank
you. The other thing that we've worked with is a form of MRI scanning called functional MRI scanning.
Okay.
So what that allows us to do, it's not just seeing the brain structure, but it allows us to see brain blood flow from moment to moment. So what we do is we give people memory tasks while they're in the scanner so we can see where their brain is working. And we've combined that. So it's a little bit like, how you take a electrocardiogram stress test, a cardiac stress test?
Yes.
We can do a brain stress test where we give people memory tasks and we can see if
how
they're
is
having
blood flowing within the brain.
And in fact, we found that the harder a person works in their brain to do the memory task, that's a predictor of cognitive decline years later. It shows that they're already struggling.
Okay.
We've also done studies looking at genetics. I was part of the team that first discovered the major genetic risk for Alzheimer's disease, apolipoprotein E4. About 20% of the population carry this genetic risk. And when we combine that genetic measure with the brain tools, it gives us even more information.
Doctor, in your role as an expert in geriatric psychiatry, you have advocated for healthy aging. What specific tips or exercises could you recommend to our readers to maintain a healthy mind and body as they age?
Well, there's kind of a formula for successful aging.
Okay.
Exercise, diet, stress management, and mental stimulation.
It's funny because they sound so obvious and we all fight with those four every single day.
Well, when I tell people, they say, well, that's fine, doctor, but do you have a pill? Because it takes work to be able to do that.
It's discipline, it's commitment.
Yeah, but there are ways to do it. I mean, there are really three basic elements to help people to change. First, we have to do what we're doing right now, educate them.
Yes.
So if you know that if you make certain dietary choices, that's going to improve your brain health, you're more inclined to do that. The second is to get people on programs that are not overwhelming, that they're easy to do, that they can fit into their everyday lifestyle. And people will complain, well, I can't afford going to the gym. You know, I don't have time to exercise. Well, you could take the stairs, or you could walk briskly between meetings. You don't have to become a triathlete to gain the benefits. And you can give people feedback so they're motivated. It's just like going on a diet. If you stand on the scale and you see you've lost a pound or two, you're more inclined to continue the healthy habits.
Of course.
And also, you know, with exercise, when you start to exercise regularly, you produce endorphins, which lift your mood. So in a way, exercise can be addictive because it improves your mood, and it also lowers inflammation, so you have fewer aches and pains. You know, I used to have a trainer who would say, motion is the lotion. You know, you have these aches and pains, you just start working out a little bit and you feel better.
Motion is the lotion. And you can't forget it. Doctor, since yesterday we celebrated the World Alzheimer's Day, we'd like to hear from you about the global statistics on aging-related diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. What trends are you most concerned about?
But we know that people are living longer than ever before, thanks to modern medicine.
Yes.
And having an impact on childhood diseases. But we have a ways to go. And the basic problem is our bodies and our brains really weren't engineered to live that long.
Okay, we are stressing them,
so
stretching them.
We're living longer, but not necessarily better.
Okay.
And age is the greatest risk factor for Alzheimer's disease. It's also a risk factor for Parkinson's disease.
Okay.
So how do you mitigate that? And that really gets back to lifestyle.
Again,
the things you can do. I mean, you can, you know, obesity and overweight.
Yes.
That increases your risk for dementia and Alzheimer's disease.
Yes.
Lack of exercise, all these factors, poor diet, letting yourself get stressed out,
Yes.
living in isolation, all these can be problems. And so there are things we can do to mitigate that, but the hard part is motivating people, clearly.
You mentioned the importance of health and mind control, or health habits, sleeping, learning new skills to strengthen the brain. Could you elaborate on how these practices impact mental wellness and what recommendations you have for those who wish to incorporate them into their daily lives? And this brings me back to something that my mom always says: your brain is a muscle, use it.
Yeah, use it or lose it.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, so, it's very true. And I can tell you from my own experience, I've lived in different parts of the world, and for most of my life I lived in Southern California.
Okay.
And it was wonderful, great weather,
yes,
and a great job. But I was doing the same thing over and over again, and somebody recruited me to take a much bigger job on the East Coast. And I said, what the heck, I'll give it a try.
Yeah, let's go, huh?
And it was challenging. But I have to tell you, those challenges, I know, have made me feel cognitively sharper.
Okay.
So
reinvigorate.
Yeah,
the
because
way
I'm learning new
brain
things.
Is working,
I'm focusing on new things. It's energizing. It's exciting.
Okay.
So there is something about taking on new experiences and challenging yourself.
Yes.
You know, people can do this, but you don't have to move across country.
Yeah.
But you can, you know, do brain games, or you can do puzzles. But you want to find the challenges that are in that sweet spot. So you feel you're accomplishing something. If it's too easy, it's going to be dull and it's not going to do much.
Yeah.
If it's too hard, it's going to be stressful.
Correct, and you'll get frustrated instead of satisfied.
So you want to train, but don't strain your brain.
Yeah, train but not strain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure. It's good to see you.
It's a huge
it's a huge topic, but I think people need to realize that look, we don't have a cure for Alzheimer's, but when it comes to our lifestyle choices and keeping our brains healthy and living better longer, we have more control than we realize.
Thank you very much for your time. Let me make you a final personal question. Being close and understanding so well and so profoundly how our brain works. What's your take on this new artificial intelligence revolution, the sentient of a system, comparing artificial intelligence with the way a brain works? What's your personal take on the?
Well, I think it's a very exciting time because technology has really enhanced our lives. It's when I think about it, that the fact that we're all walking around with these little computers.
Correct.
Amazing. It's like a science fiction.
Correct. I agree with you.
So what we can accomplish with it is remarkable. And I've worked with a lot of companies helping them to develop brain games. And there are apps and video games that have been tested and they can improve your cognitive performance, even in psychiatry, that can treat mental symptoms.
Yes.
And it's a very exciting area. But there's risks because, artificial intelligence, there's that famous movie, The Terminator.
Yeah.
I mean, things can go wrong. I mean, bad people we're very vulnerable, with the electronic medical records and all kinds of things that are out there.
Correct.
So I think there's dangers. We have to protect ourselves against that. We have to protect privacy. But there's also wonderful things. Look, when I came into Mexico today, I didn't have to fill out any forms.
Okay. Yeah.
They took a picture, they scanned me.
Yes.
They scanned my passport, and bada bing, bada bang, I was here.
You're all
it was
set.
fantastic.
Yeah. The feeling it's
When I got on the plane in Newark, New Jersey, I didn't have to show anything. I just kind of went up there, took my glasses off, they scanned my eyes, and I was in.
It's an eerie feeling. It's at the same
scary,
time.
But it's invigorating.
Exactly.
So I think we have to be careful with it. We have to really use it wisely because it could be weaponized.
That's a great point. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Diversa. Así funcionan los negocios ahora.
Esta fue una producción de Inco. Derechos reservados.